So, you want to know my thoughts on the new trailer that dropped for Spirit Extinguishers? Well, I have a lot I want to say about this, so here we go. So, when I saw the trailer, Excuse me. Hello? Yeah. I'm in the middle of doing it right now. Yeah, I've got it on. Well, I mean, it's very loud. I mean, it's very orange. Oh, that's not what we're doing? We're not doing Spirit Extinguishers? Well, what the hell are we doing? Oh, Ghostbusters! Oh, okay, I can get into that. All right, okay, all right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, all righty. Oh, hey, by the way, you owe me $1,000. Yeah, that's right. Okay, fuck you too. Okay, so, hey, we're talking Ghostbusters! Let's do it. That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Okay, so yes, I want to give you my thoughts on the new trailer that dropped for Ghostbusters. Finally, Ghostbusters Afterlife has a trailer. So what are my thoughts on this? Okay, well, I do have a lot I want to say about this, so let me start here. Okay, first of all, I really enjoyed this trailer. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a really good trailer. Now, looking at the reactions online, I think most people really like this trailer. However, there are some people saying that, it's a little too Stranger Things, it's a little too this, it's a little too that. And then another thing that people are saying is that, well, where are the original Ghostbusters? We know Dan Aykroyd is in it. We know Bill Murray's in it. We know Ernie Hudson is in it. I believe even Sigourney Weaver is in it. Where are they? What's going on? Well, that didn't surprise me. Okay, so when this movie was announced months and months ago, it surprised everybody. It came out of nowhere. No one even knew it was even in development from Sony Pictures. And then as the weeks turned into months, we got more tidbits of information about what to expect with this movie. Set photos, photos from the set, also a little tiny synopsis and all that kind of jazz. And I uploaded a video talking about this, and it was very clear to me. I said then in that video, and maybe that's why these things didn't bother me, because I sort of was able to piece sort of what to expect together. And I think most of you were probably able to do that as well. That based on the characters, the main cast, and based on the little synopsis, it's very clear that this is not going to be a movie that is focused on the original Ghostbusters. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to have 38-second cameos, but what I'm saying is that the crux of the narrative, of the story, of the plot, of the foundation is a journey of self-discovery for a family, especially two young kids. Now, I have a feeling that the mom probably knows who her father was, but she's kept it from the kids maybe because of embarrassment or something like that. I don't know. A little cliche, but hey, it works. And this is really about the kids, about the young girl, and about Finn Wolfhard's character. And they discover who they are, about who their family is, and their lineage, and why their mom kept it from them if she knew at all, and all that kind of jazz. And it was very obvious to me that when I saw the first set photo from the set months ago, you just look at Finn and you look at the young girl. Her name escapes me. I can't believe this. But you look at her with the little, glasses on. They look really nerdy, right? Well, who are they probably related to? And then you read the synopsis and it's kind of like, yeah, they're probably, and I said this then, they're probably related to Egon's character because sadly and unfortunately, Harold Ramis passed away a few years ago. So it makes sense just by the look of them. No offense, Finn. But you look like, you got a little nerdy vibe going on, but hey, there's room for nerds. There's room for geeks, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a geek. And you kind of get that vibe, right? So, that's what I thought. I speculated that they could be related to Aykroyd's character, right? I totally believe it. But when you see the girl with the glass, it's like, nah, they got to be a Spengler. They got to be Spenglers. You know what I mean? So I predicted that then, and sure enough, it looks like that I'm right. But I'm certainly probably not the only one that thought that. I mean, come on. So, and knowing that and reading the synopsis and then seeing the trailer, not seeing the original clan, because I believe Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Sigourney Weaver, I believe at the very least those four, oh, and Annie Potts. Those five, I think Weaver is included in that as well. I think. I stand to be corrected. But anyway, at least those 4 or 5 have been confirmed to be in the new movie. But it's not their story. And listen, I'm a 40-year-old man. I grew up with the originals. And as much as I would love for nostalgia purposes to see, Bill Murray running around in a Ghostbusters uniform with Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, these guys are closing in on 70, if not already past it by a year or two. I mean, they're little old pot bellies and old and running around. The verisimilitude, the believability sort of begins to wane a little bit. As much as my 8-year-old inner child be like, ha ha, woohoo! I get it from a story believability perspective. I mean, there's, if you're a firefighter or a police officer, which is kind of like what a Ghostbuster is, right? You're serving and protecting people, but from ghosts. There's not too many 70-year-old firefighters or police officers out there getting into the line of duty and in action. Come on! You get to a certain age and you kind of retire. So that doesn't bother me. It makes sense that they would play complementary roles. Now, again, I don't mean little cameos. I just mean roles that make sense. Now, because this is a direct sequel to the original films and not the 2016 film, I think also it's going to work better. I think they're going to have more of a significant role in this movie than they did the 2016 film. The 2016 film, because we often forget that Aykroyd, Hudson, and Murray were also in that movie, but that wasn't in the same universe, as far as I know. I don't think it was. That wasn't the same universe. That was a absolute 100% reboot remake, right? And so it was a passing of the torch, but it was more of a symbolic passing of the torch because Aykroyd, Hudson, and Murray weren't even playing the original characters. They were just in it to make us go, oh, look, kind of cool, ha, but they weren't actually really, they were passing the torch more symbolically than literally. Well, now that you're doing a sequel to the original films, you're playing in the actual sandbox and world again. So to have Murray and Aykroyd and Hudson and Potts and maybe even Weaver as well, I mean, now it's more of a literal passing of the torch. It feels more organic. It feels right? It feels like, okay, I can accept this now, right? Because they can't go on. Listen, Sigourney Weaver, she looks fantastic, but she's 70 now. Okay, these people can't be going on, running around the street. Eventually, you gotta move on. So, but it's all depending on how you do it. Does it feel right? Does it feel organic? Does it feel like, that makes sense. This feels good, and that I believe is probably what we're going to get from this movie. So when I didn't see them in the trailer, it makes sense because they want you, the audience, to know that this isn't their story anymore. This is their story in terms of the two kids discovering who they are. And then that leads them, the breadcrumbs lead them to, Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray or Ernie Hudson. I have a feeling that the breadcrumbs are going to lead them to Dan Aykroyd. That's who I think. I think the breadcrumbs are going to lead them to Ray Stantz, and then Bill Murray will come in after that, and Ernie Hudson and Annie Potts and all that kind of stuff. Because I just have that feeling. I think it makes sense. Also, I think it's a sign of respect for Dan Aykroyd, who essentially is the creator of Ghostbusters. And he wrote it with Harold Ramis. And so I think that makes sense that he's probably the first Ghostbuster we see. That is what I think is going to happen there. But nonetheless, so it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. And I think that is why you don't see them in this trailer. But in subsequent trailers and TV spots down the road, you'll definitely see them, 100%. Now, in terms of the Stranger Things vibe, I get it. I get what people are saying. It also doesn't help that you got Finn Wolfhard in there, who was in a supernatural, very popular TV show called Stranger Things. And then he's in a supernatural, very popular movie called It. And now he's in a supernatural movie called... The common denominator there is not just Finn Wolfhard, it's the supernatural element to the movies and properties that he's in. But keep this in mind. Ghostbusters is not a riff on Stranger Things. Stranger Things is a riff on Ghostbusters. we sometimes forget, for those of you that are not old enough and maybe are just, getting into this world of kids banding together and riding their bikes and getting into all sorts of adventures and shenanigans and all kind of stuff. Maybe you were sort of just, maybe Stranger Things was your introduction to that kind of adventure storytelling. But for 40-year-old men like me, that was the 80s, whether it was the Monster Squad or the Goonies or, E.T. or, The Gate or Flight of the Navigator or whatever. I mean, just go down the list. That's what 80s movies were like. And then you combine, Carpenter with Spielberg and I mean, that's just what it was like. It wasn't, that was reality. And then that kind of sense of kid adventure storytelling went away for a bit. And then Stranger Things brought it back in a really sort of, almost an homage sort of way. But I get what people are saying when they say it has a Stranger Things vibe to it, but I'm like, no. Stranger Things has a Ghostbusters vibe to it. You just forget that this is what Ghostbusters was like. Not forget literally, but I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So I think when I see like the small town and the special effects and the earthquakes and the mystery and the kids, and I certainly can see what people are saying, but it doesn't bother me because I grew up in an era and a time where that's what we watched. So it just feels like they're just going back to that. So when I watched Stranger Things for the very first time, I liked it because it reminded, and a lot of us 40-year-old, men can say this, and girls too, and girls can't leave out the gals. It certainly reminds us of that time, right? And that's what we love. That's not the only thing, but that was a big part of Stranger Things' hook. Hey, remember the simple times? Here you go, blah, 100%. So I think if Finn Wolfhard had not been cast in this new Ghostbusters movie, and it was somebody that we had never heard of or seen, you still would get the Stranger Things vibe, because Stranger Things has brought what you suppressed that we all sort of forgot about, and lives within our subconscious. Stranger Things brought it back to our conscious mind. So, and because that was the one that did it, it's almost like there's this false illusion that we keep comparing things to Stranger Things, which I get, but in reality, no, that was what Ghostbusters was. Now, I mean, it wasn't about kids per se. There weren't kids in the original film, but that sense of, guys and camaraderie and the adventure and the shenanigans and that kind of stuff. And it's a very sort of childlike innocence, whimsy, sort of inner child sense of adventure kind of movie anyway. So, I would never, I get it. I don't know, maybe it's the perspective I have. It did not bother me. I get it, but it didn't bother me. So that's how I feel about that. But the trailer was really good first trailer. Sense of mystery, sense of that 80s kind of feel again. That was, that Stranger Things had nothing to do with, by the way. Just, so it was. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to see the next one and how they introduce, the legendary characters, right? How they introduce the OGs. Now, this trailer will sit for a while because it's December. The movie doesn't come out until July. So don't expect another trailer anytime soon. Maybe spring, maybe. Off the top of my head, perhaps. Although I do have a contact at Sony that maybe I could reach out and ask maybe what he thinks or expects. That doesn't mean that I'll be able to tell you guys, because I might have to keep that under wraps, but I'm curious about that. But anyway, I think this one will live for a bit because I think it's good enough to just kind of sit there and let it marinate. And I enjoyed it. It makes me excited. Definitely got me in the feels a bit, and I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it, and how those OG characters fit into all this. So I liked it, man. Anyways, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer? I would really like to know. Do you feel the same way I do, where it's like, well, yeah, I get what people are saying, but because I grew up in the 80s, I don't connect that thing to Stranger Things. I connect it to the 80s, because that's what it was, and that Stranger Things is more of that. Do you feel the same way about that kind of thing? And how do you feel about the OG characters? Are you disappointed? Do you want this, did you want, or were you expecting this movie just to be about them, and it's their adventure, and you were taken back that it actually is about their, these kids and discovering? I knew that from the synopsis, but maybe you guys were surprised by it. Comment below and let me know. Hey, if you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdave McRae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time, and I'm not posting here. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. So, in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers. I'm going to go after that $1,000 thing.